Welcome. This is the 6F's of inviting protective parts to speak. So our goal here today is to help you unblend from manager protector parts, build a relationship between those parts and the self, and come to know that these protective parts of you are trying to serve you out of love, but there's fearful consequences that they're afraid of happening, that they're trying to ward off through their extreme behavior. So, let's begin. Find yourself in a comfortable position, sitting upright, just taking a few breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. We'll do this 2 more times as you're just giving yourself a few moments to arrive here. Noticing the body, connecting with the sensations in the body, the environment around you. And then on the last breath, you can just close your eyes. And we'll begin with finding the target part. So we're just going to turn our attention inward and simply ask, what part of me needs my attention right now? And simply notice what happens as you turn your attention inwards. Are there any specific sensations in your body that you can feel more than others? Is there anything that you can feel or perceive in or around your body that doesn't feel like you? Or is there any emotion or sets of thoughts that come to the front of your mind? Notice any sensations, thoughts, feelings, or experiences that are emerging. And just notice that this is a part of you asking for your attention. This is our target part. We're noticing especially where it's showing up in the body, the images that emerge. We're simply noticing that this part is making itself known to you. And here we're going to step into the second step, which is to focus. So allow the part to be here. Spending some time recognizing that this part of you wants your attention. Focusing, shining your attention like a flashlight towards it, just resting your attention like a feather. Noticing, where is this part in your body? And look at this part, seeing this part if there's an image, giving it your attention with curiosity. We're just allowing this part to reveal itself to us. And an important note here is that there's a wide variety of ways that we can experience parts. Some of us are very visual. Sometimes we have no images of parts. Sometimes we're very physical, or we can just have a sense of them. That's totally okay. These prompts are just exploratory prompts. And if one of the prompts doesn't feel connecting to you, that's okay. Just let it go and follow your gut. So here we're going to flesh this part out. Describing the part, allowing ourselves to see the part in more detail. And in this, you can just ask the part, let me see you. Let me feel you. Let me sense you. This part might show you a clearer image of itself. It might generate a more precise feeling of bodily sensations or movement in the body. It might reveal memories to you, or might start talking to you and giving you messages. We're just allowing this part to make itself known in whatever way it wants, fostering curiosity and openness. We can notice if this sensation just became words, what would it say? What's the emotion with this part? Or the image? If you could see this part, if you can see this part, how does this part look? What's this part's body language like? What's this part communicating? If this part was a cartoon, how would this part be shown? What images describe this part? What are you noticing in the physical sensations? What's the tension like? You can describe it, explore the physical sensations and write them down. We're helping the part to be seen, just noticed. And you can take time here to sit with whichever responses feel helpful. And our intention is to cultivate a sense of curiosity and openness. But here we're going to take the next step, which is to notice how you feel towards this part. A helpful question here is this part okay? Or do you want it to go away? Notice your attitudes towards this part. Can you feel curiosity, compassion, and openness? Or do you notice reactivity? Do you notice tension or frustration or irritation with this part? There's no agenda to feel one way or another here. If you're journaling, you can just write down the responses. And here, this question of how do you feel towards this part helps us to know, are we blended with another part? Or are we connected with the self? If you're feeling reactive, charged, annoyed, frustrated, that's perfectly okay. It's an indication that we're just blended with another part, that there's another protector part. This is very common. It will happen over and over again. Because oftentimes protective parts get in what we call polarizations, wrestling against each other. So we just notice if there's a feeling of reactivity, which indicates that we're blended with another part. Another thing we can check for is if you feel an agenda. Noticing if you feel an agenda to push through, an agenda to solve, an agenda to heal, any kind of agenda can indicate that we're blended with another part. On the other hand, we want to notice for the energy of the self. This is that energy of the open sky, of curiosity, calmness, compassion, clarity, courage, confidence. And so if you notice those qualities of the self, that calm compassion, that agendaless agenda, we'll continue on to befriend. But if you don't feel that way, it's totally okay. If you feel a protective part of you, a second protective part of you that's blended, that feels frustrated or irritated or scared, we simply focus on this part and we take 2 steps. The first step is that we ask if this part is willing to step back and give space for the self to be here. And we're genuinely asking this. There's no pressure or coercion. So we're simply asking this second part if it's willing to step back and give space for the self to emerge. If this part is willing to step back, we just ask again, how do you feel towards the initial target part? Can you feel a sense of calmness and curiosity? And if you can, we continue on. If this part says it's not willing to step back, or you're feeling an intensification of the tension, that's totally okay. It means that this part's not ready to step back. And so instead, we just make this second part our new target part. Focusing on this part that's frustrated with the initial target part, with the intention to be curious, calm, and connected to this new target part. So with that new target part, we just begin with finding, focusing, fleshing out, noticing how you feel towards it. And this might happen multiple times with multiple parts. We continue until there's this sense of calm, compassionate curiosity. And so once you notice that calm, compassionate curiosity, we continue on. Stepping into befriending this part. And here in befriending this part, we want to listen, validate, and honor this protective part with the attitude of an old friend coming into our home. And we can kind of say, I know you. I know you anxiety. I know you control. And we really allow this part to be here. Letting go of the agenda, approaching with the heartfelt intention to befriend this part. And we can simply ask this part, what do you want me to know? We can notice, is this part aware of you? Is this part willing to connect with you? And we seek to gently approach it with warmth and care. We let this part know that we're not trying to change it or fix it. We're just listening, building a relationship, asking, what do you want me to know? What's your job? How old are you? After you ask this part how old it is, just notice the first answer that comes to mind. We're not trying to think, we're not trying to figure it out. Just notice the first gut instinct. Oftentimes it'll be very young. Other parts of you might be surprised by that, but that's okay. We're trusting this part. And then you can see this part and ask this part if it knows how old you are. Ask this part how old it thinks you are. And then you can tell this part how old you really are. And just see the reaction on its face. Notice what it says. Notice how it responds. And if you're journaling, you just write that down. And so as you hear from this part, just express tender and caring feelings that you feel explicitly. Express your appreciation, your compassion, your care. Talking to this part directly and caringly as if it were a person. And the last step here, you can stay with this part for as long as you would like. And when you're ready, we'll continue to the last step here, which is fear. We're getting to know what this part is afraid of. So we simply want to ask this part, why are you doing this extreme behavior? What's your job? The fear of these parts tells us about its protective role. And it tells us of the exile that's underneath it, or the other protectors that it's afraid of. And we can ask this part, what do you really want from me? We don't need to heal or fix this part, we're just witnessing it, listening, building trust. And so we can ask this part, what are you afraid would happen if you stopped doing this job right now? What other parts in my system are you afraid of? What memories do you have of things going wrong? Witness what this part's telling you and showing you. And finally, we can ask this part, if I were able to keep that unwanted consequence from happening, so you could quit this job and you could do anything you wanted to do, what would it be? If all the hurt parts of me were healed, what would you want to do? We listen to this part, we reflect back. So you can pause and continue here for as long as you'd like with this part. Spending as much time as you would like sitting with this part, letting this part know that you want to build a trusting relationship with it. You want to continue to do this. And ask this part if there's anything else that it would like you to know before wrapping up. And then finally you can thank this part for its willingness to speak to you, as well as its willingness to protect you in this way. You can communicate your goodwill and your appreciation for its dedication to you. Letting this part know that you want to help this part, but that also you want this change to happen in a way that feels natural and safe, that you respect this part and appreciate its perspective. Letting this part know things can be differently now because you can have a relationship with this part and you want to continue to build that relationship with this part. And then thanking this part, you can bring this practice to a close and continue on with this deeper appreciation for your system.